Hello, and welcome to the Emmy Awards. I'm your host, Emmy Cardinale, and this is my podcast where I talk about what I've been watching or rewatching, normally once a week. If this is the first episode of mine that you stumble upon and you enjoy it, please feel free to follow me wherever you listen to podcasts so you can get notified when I upload a new episode. Like and subscribe if you're listening to this on YouTube. Just thank you so much for tuning in. It really does mean a lot. This episode, as the title suggests, is going to be about Love Island USA Season 8. I have some life updates, podcast updates that I'm going to get out of the way at the top of the show. But if you do not care about that, feel free to skip to when I start talking about Love Island. Timestamps will be in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in. So if you've been listening for a while, in many a podcast episode, have said that I have a full-time job. I do this in my spare time. It's a hobby. And it is still a hobby. I'm not making money off of it. I mean, it's monetized, but I've made $8 total in the almost year it's been monetized. I think I monetized it at the end of July of 2025. So it's not making a profit by any means. But I no longer have a full-time job. I was laid off earlier this week, which is part of the reason this episode's out a little bit later. I had originally planned to record on Wednesday. So I would be covering week 4 of Love Island season 8. But then Wednesday, I was like the first day that Tuesday was my last day of work. So Wednesday was the first day immediately after that. So it was hard, and I didn't end up recording on Wednesday. And then I tried to record on Thursday, and I was having so many issues with my microphone that I couldn't figure it out. And then I spent a lot of yesterday troubleshooting, and I'm recording this Saturday to talk about Love Island week 4 and also the Thursday episode and the Friday episode. So I'm going to be catching up into everything before Sunday besides the After Sun episode. So that's what this episode's going to be. And basically, now that I have a lot more time, I do want to pour into the podcast. I think I need to take things a little bit slowly. I think as soon as I found out I was being laid off, I was like, okay, I'm going to start working on the podcast right away and start a multiple podcast episode schedule, multiple record multiple episodes a week. I had this idea that I'm like, okay, well, now is my time to lock in on the podcast. And I do think I will, but I don't know when I'm going to start doing that. I think I'm just going to do it as it feels naturally to me. And as it really begins to hit me, I think it's fresh enough that right now it just kind of feels like I'm on paid time off. Wednesday, Thursday for the majority of my time at this job was my weekend. There were some weeks when I had different days of the week off, but I worked weekends and I worked nights. And most of the time, for the majority of the 4 years I was at that job, my weekend was Wednesday, Thursday. So my last day was Tuesday, and then Wednesday I returned my work laptop, and Thursday and now it's the 4th of July weekend, and it hasn't hit me like it has hit me. I find myself having the urge to check my work schedule to make sure I know when I'm supposed to clock in, because sometimes I clocked in at 1 and sometimes I clocked in at 3, and I'm checking. I find myself going to on my phone, muscle memory, to check what time I'm supposed to clock in, even though I'm not working. So I think, and obviously I've started applying to jobs, and I've been doing, all the necessary things that happen after you get laid off. But I think I'm just taking things one step at a time. So I want to get a podcast episode out somewhat regularly, and then I'm going to try to get maybe an extra one out next week. I think it's just as I really begin to feel the absence of my job, and my days feel really I already kind of feel it. I don't have anything I'm spending my time on. I think I'm going to ease into it. I think when I found out I was being laid off, I was like, okay, I need to lock in on the podcast. And I am going to lock in on the podcast, but I'm going to try to do it somewhat slowly, because I think trying to pivot too hard, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I worked 8 hours a day. I can just lock in. And if I spend that much time working on the podcast in terms of prep, record, editing, I can get so much done. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to eventually get there. Maybe I will, but I think I just need to take things one step at a time, and ease myself into that kind of schedule. So I don't know. This episode will be hopefully it won't take, like, if I was having a lot of technical issues, if I've hopefully figured out my technical issues, then this episode should be good. And honestly, if my technical issues are resolved, then like recording will be a lot easier. I was having so many microphone issues. So I don't know. I'm hopeful that I can crank out episodes and just like express myself in this medium and really pour my time into this podcast now that I have more time. It's meant to be fun, and I'm gonna use it like to express myself and fill my time doing something productive that brings me joy, but also not like stress myself out about like I have to have like a regimented schedule of like, well, you don't have a full-time job anymore. I mean, so now this podcast has to be your full-time job. Like, I think I'm gonna take things one step at a time. And obviously I'm applying to other jobs because as much as I love this podcast and like people can be full-time podcasters like successfully, I don't think that the podcast is going to grow exponentially to the point where I would be like, maybe it will. Maybe I'm selling myself short, but I've been working on this for 4 years. Yes, as a hobby, maybe if I committed and I was doing more, it would blow up, but I just don't want to like hitch my wagon just on the podcast. So I am applying to other jobs and like, so I don't really know. But let me just jump straight into Love Island. This is going to be, we're going all the way back to Casa Amor. And I have notes this time because in my last episode, I had no notes. I was just rambling and I forgot half of their names. And not that I think they deserve me to know their names, but I just do feel like it's better if I know their names so I can properly insult them, the men specifically. I don't remember where I left off, but I think I left off before they got the postcards. And yeah, on Tuesday's, like last Tuesday's episode, the last episode I talked about in my last podcast episode, it was right before they got the postcard. So in the Thursday episode of that week where we picked up after I last podcasted, they received the postcards. And I feel like the reaction between the men and the women to seeing the postcards was like super telling of just like the way they approach things very differently. Bryce's reaction like really warmed my heart. I was like, Bryce is going to be so worried. And like the thing is, he was immediately worried and he was immediately hurt. But he came around and he was like, you know what? I believe like he genuinely felt like he's her type on paper. She kissed him outside of a challenge. They're kissing in the photo booth. Like, I might be screwed, but I care about her enough to risk, like, I'm not going to explore here just to explore. Like, literally after the postcards, he had a conversation with somebody whose name I don't remember. I'm so sorry to her. She didn't come back. So the Casa women who didn't come back, I'm so sorry. I've forgotten all their names. I'm so sorry to her. But he said, he was like, I would only be exploring something with you in reaction to what I saw. And that doesn't feel fair to you or like that. And I just really appreciated that because I do think that is something that a lot of the times the men on Love Island, and it's not just the men, but like a lot of the times it is more of a gut reaction of the men. It's like, well, she's exploring, why can't I? But Bryce does a really good job. And I do think his age is very clearly showing where he's looking at the bigger picture and he's like, I'm hurt that this happened, but I care about her more. Like, I care about her more than I'm hurt right now. Like, my feelings for her supersede the hurt that I feel about this action. So like I really appreciated Bryce's reaction because he did feel his way about it and he like it did hurt his feelings and he was stressed out. But then he was able to be like, but I care about her enough and I believe in us enough that I'm going to risk it regardless. Like, even if I go back and I look like an idiot because she is fully moved on, I did what I could. And I think that's really noble because I do think that there are sometimes, not noble, but I think that's very mature because I do think there's sometimes a very like a gut reaction where it's like if somebody rejects you, then you like reject them back and you're like, well, I never even really liked you. Or like if you feel rejected, you get on like a, like that's the thing that like many people have experienced where it's like some guy asks you out and then you're like, I'm okay. And then suddenly he starts calling you ugly. And it's like, you're the one who matched with me on this dating app. Okay. Nobody was making you call me pretty or like, I don't like, you know what I mean? It's like this weird thing where it's like, if you reject them, now suddenly they never wanted you in the first place. And it's like, okay, that's just not necessary. So I really appreciated Bryce having a feeling about this, but not then reacting in like a vengeful way. And I think that is just something that a lot of these men do where they're like, they're upset about something. So then they're like, they don't the men on the show overwhelmingly, and some of the women do this too, but the men on the show specifically overwhelmingly do this thing where they have a feeling and they don't like process that feeling and then like act accordingly after they've processed it. They like just jump straight on the emotion. Like if they're hurt, they're like, I don't care anymore. She doesn't care about me. Instead of like, and Kenzie actually kind of does this too, where like she's hurt by something Corbin said, so immediately she's like, "Well, fuck him. I'm over. I'm done with it. Corbin sucks." Where it's like Bryce was able to be like, "I'm hurt by this," but then he thought back to everything of their relationship and didn't throw it out. You know what I mean? In Thursday's episode, Melanie, like last Thursday's episode, not this Thursday's episode, after they get the postcards, which I have to say, Melanie, when she got the postcard, she was like, maybe this was in a challenge. And somebody's like, that's not a challenge. And she's like, but maybe it was another challenge. She's trying to be delusional about the fact that maybe Sincere wasn't kissing the cost like a more outside of a challenge. But I had a glimmer of hope on Thursday's episode because Melanie gives a speech where she's like, I know Takeda and I think Trinity was there too, but I'm not sure because Trinity, like the worst thing they had of Bryce was like he was licking somebody's toe in a challenge. Like there wasn't anything really to send Bryce. And in Trinity's defense, there wasn't really much. Like Trinity, like barely, like she was in Costa. They weren't closed off or like had any conversation about exclusivity. So like, you know, they separate. She kisses him. She tries it out. And then immediately she realizes, I like Bryce more than I care to explore this. So it was like, not, you know, it was really not like any, I wasn't worried at all, but Bryce obviously doesn't have the whole information. So I understand him being worried, but I was really happy with his reaction of like being hurt, but not letting that hurt then cloud the feelings that he had for Trinity. Anyway, sorry, to jump back, but Melanie gave me hope on last Thursday's episode when she gave a speech about like, guys, we can't just wait here for them to come back and like be those women who are like, well, he's still coming home to me. Like we need to explore. We need to use this opportunity. We like, and I was like, oh my God, maybe I had a glimmer of hope. And by like Friday's episode, I was like, okay, the hope is gone. But I genuinely did have like a glimmer of hope where I was like, maybe Melanie will come, like bring somebody back. Because the thing about bringing somebody back from Costa is that like that doesn't mean that you're coupling up with them, right? You can bring somebody back and then end up not coupling up with them at the next recoupling. It's like I remember last season, again, if this is the first episode of mine that you're watching, this is only my second season watching Love Island. I'm a newbie and I'm really not trying to act like I feel like I might be annoying the amount of times I make that disclaimer, but I just like I as somebody who am like I'm an OG fan of a lot of things, and I'm like I've been here the whole time. It does sometimes feel a little bit annoying when people come on and they act like they know everything. So I really just try to always make the disclaimer that like I'm only speaking with the knowledge I have because I'm not trying to speak over people who like know a lot more about the show or like have been here from the beginning. Okay, I haven't, and I'm not trying to claim that I am. Okay, I acknowledge the people who came before me in every facet. But anyways, last season, Shelly brought back Chris, but also it was like, so Huda, if you want to explore Chris as well, or maybe Huda brought back, it was like whoever brought Chris back, it wasn't like I'm bringing Chris back and we're together. It was like, I'll bring him back and maybe you can also explore him. Like both Shelly and Huda were interested in Chris. So when they brought him back to the villa, it wasn't a like, now he's paired up for sure with Shelly or now he's paired up for sure with Huda. So it's like I don't know. I understand the women wanted to be loyal, but it's like I really wish that somebody would have brought somebody back besides the obvious ones. But anyways, let me keep going. Corbin and Casey had really disrespectful reactions to the postcards. Corbin doesn't care about Kenzie anymore. Casey is saying horrible things about Anaya, which, you know, Corbin, I have to say, has won me a little over a tiny bit based off of yesterday's episode, Friday, the 3rd of July's episode. Like that episode, Corbin did win me over a little bit. Okay, so maybe I'm looking at Corbin with a bit of a softer lens now, but in retrospect, I think Casey is a bit more disrespectful than Corbin was, but not that Corbin is like really great, but it's like Casey goes out of his way to insult Anaya personally or like act like they never had anything in common, or like it's so weird and unnecessary, because you could be like, I have something, I connected with TT right away. There was a lot of conflict with Anaya. Our communication styles aren't different, because I don't think anybody would argue with you guys that you guys are like super compatible. And like, I think if you had said to Anaya, like, I like you as a person and I tried to, but like, I just don't think we're compatible and I don't feel it and I'm really sorry. Like, I don't think anybody would have crucified Casey for being like, I just have a better natural connection with TT. Because I don't think anybody who watched his scenes with Anaya and him interacting with Anaya would disagree that they are not compatible. I think that's very clear. I don't think that they're a good couple. And I think most people would agree that they're not a good couple. So it was so unnecessary to be like there's a nicer way to say everything that he said. But anyways, let me move on. Another thing I forgot to mention. Sincere teaches Amora sign language, and it was so funny because he was teaching her how to finger spell her name, and he goes A, and then he's like, I think this is A. It was A. He did finger spell correctly from my knowledge. I have very basic ASL. I know the alphabet. I know some basic vocabulary. I know numbers as well. Not every single number, but I feel like I know 1 through 10, and could maybe remember, like, maybe somewhere in the deep recesses of my mind, I could like recollect that information. But I know some like basic words. I know how to spell my own name. I know the alphabet. So he did spell it correctly from my knowledge. He said Amora. That is how you spell Amora. Sincere's name would be Sincere. So congrats to Sincere. He knows ASL. He then later teaches Melanie ASL, which is like, okay, we need the Sincere. Maybe that already exists. I need to go on TikTok and see if there is, but I'm like, there has to be a Sincere Deja Vu by Olivia Rodrigo edit, because it's all reused. It's all reused. Sorry, I'm just singing Deja Vu in my head now. Okay, let me move on. After recoupling Brinity and Price, Brinity, oh my god, Trinity and Bryce. I literally keep saying Brinity and Trice. I'm Trinity and Bryce, Brinity, if you will. They recouple and it's beautiful. And even this, like, I really liked the way they communicated, because he expressed his feelings. He didn't like act like he wasn't hurt at all, or he didn't have any like, it didn't impact him at all to see her kissing somebody else. But he did it in a way that wasn't like vilifying her or like saying anything negative about her. It was just expressing his own feelings, and they were able to move on from that. Like, the thing about Bryce and Trinity is I feel like they really show how, like, it's not about the exploring, it's not about those things, because it's like, yes, that kind of thing is hurtful, but at the end of the day, if you come together and you're like, I was hurt by that, and she's like, I'm sorry, like, I did it, and then immediately, like, it's so much more about the way you communicate after the fact than the actual action. Obviously, if you're repeatedly like, your actions aren't matching with your words, or like, let's say that in this moment Trinity did keep exploring whoever she explored. I literally don't remember his name. Was it Corey that she kissed as well, who then he started, yeah, it was Corey, because she had a conversation with Corey very soon after and was like, I'm sorry, I can't pursue this any further. And then she slept in soul ties for the rest of Casa. Like, if she told Bryce this, but that's not actually what she was doing, then obviously that would be an issue. But it's like, there's something so much, they focus, the men so often, they focus in on the like, you're mad at me for like working within the confines of the game or the structure of this television show, when it's like, no, you just don't have to be disrespectful about it. Even Casey remaining in a couple with Anaya when he had already lost interest, that isn't necessary if you were at the point in the game that they were at when he lost interest, because it wasn't like right now, July 4th, when I'm recording this, if at this moment Casey lost interest, like, say he and I were paired up until this moment, and then he lost interest in her, it's like, yeah, he doesn't really have, like, there's not going to be a moment where he can explore. But it's like, things were tense between them. He clearly lost interest pre-Casa. So it's like, instead of leading her on and playing it safe, which they accuse him of doing during movie night, and I agree that he did, instead of doing that, he could have just very clearly been like, look, I like you, but I just don't know if we're compatible. And I don't want to disrespect you, but I do think if somebody comes in, I want to explore, and I think you should be able to explore too. Like, at the end of the day, the situation that Anaya is in with Carl is much better for her. The situation that Casey's in with Titi is much better for him. If he was just able to have a communication, if he was just able to have a conversation and communicate properly and be like, look, I really like you. I think it was nice and I appreciate what we've had. I just think we've reached a point in this relationship where like it's very clear we're not compatible. The show's not over. I want you to find somebody. I want to find somebody. Let's stay in a couple until new people come in, and then hopefully we can recouple with somebody more compatible with us. It's like that's not unheard of. You can like remain in a couple until like that's not. It's not like super at the end game now where it's like, okay, if you don't like each other, then why are you together? No, it's like Costa hasn't happened yet. Why not establish it that like you're interested in exploring and you want the other person to be interested in exploring too? And like, no hate to you or me, but at the end of the day, it's like, as much as I like you as a person, if we don't work romantically, then we don't work romantically. Anyways, let me move on. I'm going all over the place. Corbin comes in with Parmita and he gets booed, and they're like, tomato, tomato, tomato. And then the funniest moment of the recoupling, okay, Sincere comes in alone, and Melanie immediately gets mad at him, as she should. I don't really care. She immediately gets mad at him, tells him like that goes off on him. And it's just like Melanie is so frustrating because it's like, and I don't mean this with any hatred, because I really feel like Melanie is such a good representation, and it really shows you clear as day how put together somebody can be, how much they can get it like on like a bird's eye view level of like relationships, and she can give her friends the best advice. Or even she has moments where she's like, being picked is not the prize, it's being respected. Like she has these like zoom out moments where she sees clearly, but it's like at the end of the day when you're in it. And I have so much to say specifically in regards to Thursday and Friday's episodes about the way the influence of the other people in the villa, I feel like, is playing a role in everything with Melanie and her decisions to keep going back to Sincere. But it's really like sad. And also just like she says many times that like she's gonna look stupid. I really hope, if anything, Melanie is a clear like representation of somebody who like how much you can really be like fucked up in a relationship. And I don't think it says anything about you. I think it's just like when you're interacting with a person like Sincere, who's so manipulative and so like I just genuinely think, and the sad thing too is that Melanie during movie night, sorry, not to jump ahead, but she had moments where somebody was like, see, you're not crazy. And she's like, I knew I wasn't crazy. It's like, imagine how many people are in situations like this, like Sincere and Melanie's, and they have people being like, no, Sincere really likes you, he's a great guy, but you don't have all the evidence. Like the one bright spot for this with Melanie is that even if the people in the villa are like still blinded by Sincere, it's like they saw the movie night and they still overwhelmingly are blinded by Sincere for whatever reason. He's won them over again. The good thing is that Melanie has proof of Sincere's behavior. So hopefully the people in her life who know her super well and knew her before Sincere, because obviously all these people got to know Melanie in the context of Melanie with Sincere. So like they like Melanie, but they like as deep as these friendships can become, they're still new compared to the people back home who know Melanie, who love Melanie. So even if Melanie and Sincere end the show together, I have faith that because of everything, like she has proof of everything, of how like duplicitous he is. I do not feel like she will go back to him. How many people are in situations where everybody in their life is like, no, he's a great guy, he's a great guy, he's a great guy, and they don't have all this video evidence of him being a liar? Like, it's sick and twisted. It's sick and twisted because people do this in real life, and it's just not on camera. People like Sincere exist. And the way that he has completely won people over, even after they saw how fucked up he was in movie night, is shocking to me. But it's also not shocking. And I think it makes the fact that Melanie keeps going back to him and the fact that Melanie is in this position so much more clear to me and so much more like powerful in what it represents for dating as a whole and interpersonal relationships as a whole. Because it's, again, how many people are in situations like this where you're like, from an outsider's perspective, you're like, why is she going back to him? But there's people in her life being like, he really likes you, give it another chance. And it's even worse, I imagine, if you're married, if you have kids, you have communities built around each other, and everybody in your life is like, no, stay together, stay together. Relationships take work. So then you end up in this situation where you're stuck with somebody who's like not being honest with you because you feel like there's something wrong with you. The Melanie and Sincere of it all is just so sick and twisted. But anyways, when Casey comes in at the recoupling, he's just like, again, not empathetic to Anaya at all. It's really not difficult to have a conversation. I mean, for some people it is, but it would, I really feel like so many of these people would benefit so much if they like did some interpersonal, like worked on some interpersonal communication skills before they went onto reality dating shows. Because I feel like so many people on this show and in real life aren't able to like recognize, aren't able to be like, I'm sorry that I hurt you. There's something that happens very often on the show where somebody will be like, I'm hurt. And the person they're saying that to receives that as like, you're doing something wrong. And even sometimes if you are doing something wrong, it's like, uh, it's better communication to lead with like understanding the other person's feelings. It's like, you could just be like, hey, I'm really sorry. I know it must suck. I'm sorry that you're here single and you didn't bring anybody back and you maybe believed in this connection more than I did. I just don't think we're compatible and I found something better with Cece and I'm so sorry for the pain it's causing you. It's like, no, he gets defensive. Then Trinity steps in and is like, why did you say something? Why did you say that you were surprised that me and Bryce were one of the top couples when the moment that you could jump ship, you did? And instead of him being, again, another moment that he could have been like, you're right, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that about your relationship with Bryce. If anything, I've realized that like these relationships, it changes so quick. So you exploring doesn't really mean anything about your connection necessarily. Like he could have in that moment acknowledged why what he said was hurtful to her without being like, I actually didn't. He's like, no, I didn't jump ship the moment I could. He's so annoying in this moment. It was so annoying. Then TT defends him. Also earlier, Parmita defended Corbin. All these, the Casa women going really hard for their, like the men they were paired up with irritated me, I have to be honest. But anyways, after the recoupling, Anaya has like breaks down. She's single and vulnerable. She sent Carl home. She's really sad. She's really sad. And Melanie, queen that she is, gives her a really encouraging speech. Is like, you're gonna be okay. Again, she's so gets it. She's just been so bamboozled by Sincere. The Casa Moore girls here kind of irritate me because they say that the women, the OGs, were acting like they were married by how upset they were that the men brought in bombshells. And this really upset me because I'm like, you guys are the ones acting, you guys are the ones who are like acting like that's my man, I'm going to stand beside him. Like going super hard to defend these men you barely know against this kind of like, Corbin says something disrespectful for me. He's like, oh, defending him. Why? TT's defending him like their husband and wife. It's like you guys are showing more loyalty and like going to bat for these men as if they are like your lifelong partners than they are. I saw this TikTok and I really liked it and I reposted it. And it was, this person was responding to a comment on another video of theirs about Love Island where somebody was like, Casey and Anaya weren't in a relationship. And she was like, you're in a relationship with every person that you interact with, like every person you have like a relationship with, like coworkers, friends, like acquaintances, boyfriend and girlfriend, spouse, whatever, like romantic relationships. That's a type of relationship, but not being in a defined we are a couple relationship doesn't mean you are not having a relationship with somebody that you're casually dating. So like while you don't owe like the same exclusivity or the same commitment to somebody you're casually dating that you owe to somebody who you committed your life to in the courts or whatever, that doesn't mean that you don't owe them human decency and respect and like their feelings shouldn't be a factor for you. Like, or even if they weren't when you were acting on it, if they're hurt, that doesn't mean that like you can just hurt people and like imagine I see somebody on the street and I call them ugly. Okay. And they're like, hey, that hurt my feelings. And I'm like, I don't know you. I don't owe you anything. It's like, no, I don't owe that person like anything that I like. I don't owe that person something that I owe like somebody that I'm in a lot, like the same level of things. But that's a human interaction I'm having. I can't just be rude and like disregard people's feelings because we don't have a committed relationship. Like, what does that mean? It's like, no, Casey and Anaya weren't in an exclusive relationship. They weren't even closed off in the terminology of the show. Okay, it was Casa More, I understand. That doesn't mean that she suddenly is not a human being that he's interacting with and whose feelings may be impacted by his behavior. Hello. Anyways, but the recoupling for the most part was fine. I wish that Melanie and Sincere weren't together. And the thing is, I was upset about Anaya, but I figured that they would be I thought Carl would be coming back, so I wasn't too like I was sad for Anaya, but I'm like, okay, whatever. Zach, in the middle of the night when they're like hooking up, says that he loves Kata, and then the next day plays it off as a joke. I'm so over Zach. I'm so over Zach. And he does something that really pisses me off, and I'll get to it about movie night and like the way he withholds information. I really don't like Zach. I'm over Zach. Okay. Not again. I think the last episode I said I'm over Zach. Not that I've really been on the Zach train for a minute now, but like I'm so I hate Zach. It's just also the thing about Zach is that in proportion to the evils that we are seeing take place, right? He is just so on the bottom of the list. Not because he's not doing something sinister, okay? But it's just because it's like, damn, in comparison, it's like, he also got lucky with Alana getting sent home because it's like, he really, after a moment, he didn't have, like, do I think that maybe he probably would have gone back to Kata regardless? Yeah, I do probably think so. But the reality is we don't really know how much he would have explored with Alana. Like, a lot of the circumstances were out of his control. It's like, okay, whatever. Let me move on. After the recoupling, Zach has a conversation with Anaya. And I wrote in my notes that Zach does a better job defending KC than KC does. But the reason he does a good job defending KC is because the things he's saying to Anaya about KC, in my opinion, are just lies. And I don't think Zach is lying. I think Zach, because he's like, look, because Anaya's like, he didn't give a fuck about my feelings. And Zach's like, look, it's not that he doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. Zach does a better job trying to be like, hey, it's not that I didn't care about, like, that he doesn't care about you. But the reason I feel like Casey can't do that is because in this moment, he doesn't really care about Anaya. I think what Zach's saying is a lie, but I don't think he's lying on purpose. I think he just misunderstands Casey. But I also think, going back a little bit to what I was saying earlier about a lot of these men just like, and the difference between like the way Bryce reacted to the hurt of seeing Trinity kiss somebody else and the way that he felt that, but then he processed it and like didn't react on that emotion. I think he felt a resentment towards Anaya and he was lashing out based off that emotion, which I'm not saying it to excuse him. I think that there's a way to feel that emotion and then not externalize it and lash out at the person who hurt your feelings or upset you or triggered you or whatever the feeling is. Like, I just feel like a lot of these men have a feeling towards the woman, and then because they're hurt or whatever, they're not thinking logically or like processing the feeling within it. Like, I don't know. It's like, this person hurt me, so they suck. And that, am I making sense? I don't know if I'm making sense. I just like, now that the dust has settled a bit and Anaya's with Carl and she's like happy and Anaya apologized to Casey for how she reacted during movie night. Now Casey, like, it's not like he has this anger and just vitriol towards Anaya at all times like he had before. I really think it's something about like he's hurt and he feels attacked. So like, you know what I mean? I think a lot of these people would just it would do them so much good if they did some inner work about like why they react to certain things certain ways. And if they like learned communication styles and if they learned that like somebody being hurt by your behavior, you can apologize for that without like admitting that you're a whole horrible person or even that you did anything wrong. Like if somebody comes to you and they're like, you hurt my feelings, or even if they're like, you did X, Y, and Z wrong, you can be like, I'm so sorry that I hurt you. And I'm so sorry that was the impact it had, without being like, you're so right. I'm the worst person ever. I did lie to you. Like, even if you don't want to admit to the behavior that you're being accused of, you can acknowledge the impact it had on the other person. Because sometimes somebody's perception of what you said or you did isn't how you perceived it or how you intended it. But if that was the impact it had on them, you can still be like, I'm sorry that is how that came across, and that's how that made, like, how that impacted you. I'm really sorry. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to stop asking if I'm making sense. Melanie and Sincere post Casa are like genuinely such whiplash. Like, I'm so exhausted. And at some point, Melanie says to Sincere, like, you're draining me. Like, I'm drained. And I really feel that way watching Melanie and Sincere. I can't imagine how she feels. After Costa's over, they have a Megan the Stallion challenge. And I really liked this. It made me happy that she's like a recurring character. I also think, and I am just comparing it to Survivor 50 because Survivor 50 just happened and they did something similar with like bringing fans in. I do just think you can tell, like, Megan really did feel like a fan. And it must also, it's a different experience with like a celebrity coming on to Survivor by the nature of how it's filmed, because like Survivor, because first of all the celebrities were coming onto a returnee season, so it's like all these people have been on TV and already have some experience to some degree of like people knowing who they are for the most part. Obviously the people who filmed 49 and then 50 back to back, like they don't have quite that experience yet, but it's like I don't know. Then in that regard, the people coming to film don't know who they are. So I don't know what I'm saying. But I think there must be something specifically very interesting about being a contestant on Love Island, where the first time that you really, like, you can go into it knowing the amount of people you're going to reach, but it's like you don't really experience what that feels like to have people who like you have followed on the internet know who you are until you've experienced it. So like it must be such a trippy experience to have somebody like Megan Thee Stallion come in and know who you are and know and have been like, that must be so like interesting to experience. And she did a great job. The challenge was like, it lasted a little bit too long. And again, what was really the point of it? It was like, okay, the boys won, the girls won, and then the episode ended with like they're bringing Carlin and I out, or Carl and Maura out, that were voted back in from America. I don't really. It was okay. I liked the Bryce and Trinity moments. There was a really funny moment where basically first they do musical chairs with cake, whatever, and then the guys got to throw like cake at the women, and then the girls like poured cream on the men. It was like you could target somebody's sweet revenge, right? Okay. Some of them were like Bryce and Trinity were like she just did it to him. I don't remember who he did it to. Maybe he did it to Kata or something. Like I don't know. It was like something playful. They weren't attacking anybody. Okay. I don't really know. It was really like they weren't going after people, but some people did do it like to send a message, right? Okay. And Casey pies Trinity, and then they get into a little bit of a fight, and it was so funny. And at the end of the day, she's like, whatever, you still missed, still you rise, I guess, because he has a tattoo that says still I rise. And that was so funny. Trinity, funniest person ever. Like, it brings me so much joy because Trinity, even in the beginning of the season when I wasn't super invested in anybody, Trinity was like one of the girls that I was like, I really like Trinity. Like, I'm having a hoot and a holler every time that I'm watching. Like, I'm having such a great time every time I'm watching her on my screen. So I really liked Trinity from the beginning, and I was like, you know what, the fact that Bryce is with Trinity wins them some points for me. But it's brought me so much joy that they're like the most solid couple, and they seem locked in and they seem happy, and I'm so happy for them. Like when Bryce was really devastated in Casa, I was like, okay, I'm sold on them. Like they actually like each other. It's not, because I think there is something to be said about like on these shows, it's just kind of like you know, it's who you're close to, and you're just spending a lot of time together, and like that can be good and that can be bad. Okay, sometimes it's just like, okay, that's just who's there. It was nice to see that, like, no, it was actually like when they weren't around each other, they missed each other, they were really not like I that really won me over. But anyways, any other moments from the caking and the pie situation? I'll get to it because there are some that come up kind of later in relation to things. But Melanie has a conversation with Sincere like after this where she's like, you're just draining me. Like you're draining me. And he's like, I picked you. And she's like, being picked is not the prize. Being respected is the prize. And it's like, that's the thing. It's like, Melanie, it's like, Sincere irritates me because he's like, well, I picked you. It's like, who cares? Who cares? Oh, I picked you. Yeah. Who cares? if when you're with me, you're treating me poorly. It's like, what the hell are we talking about? Anyways, Trinity and Bryce get a date. It's the first date of the season. Which I don't know. Again, I'm new to Love Island. How many dates are standard for a season? Why is this the first season, the first date on this season? That feels kind of late. Last season, they had bombshells go on dates, and it was like it created drama, right? Okay, my dream date, cute, you know. But anyways, they go on a date. They become official. He asks her to be his girlfriend, and I thought this was very cute. People were like, that's like a step up from like closed off. Because for me, okay, closed off is like the way I view the terminology. And again, I'm new to the show, so correct me if I'm wrong. But it's like being closed off is like the terminology within the show. It's like that means I'm not going to explore anybody who comes in. That doesn't mean when we leave the show we're in a relationship, right? Like boyfriend girlfriend means like, no, we're dating, like as if we met like on the street and we went on a few dates and now we're like in a committed relationship. Like we're dating, we're going to keep dating after the show. That's how I view it. I don't know if people on Love Island who close off and they come out of the show, they go out, they're like, well, we're closed off, we've been closed off for a while, that means we're together now. Or if they leave the show, that means, because to me, closed off means, okay, I'm not going to explore anything else with anybody who comes in. Like that feels like a structure of the game, like a game setting that you're on, right? Where you're like, okay, we're closed off now in the confines of this television show. Whereas being boyfriend and girlfriend is just like beyond the show. We're in a committed relationship now. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Does that make sense to anybody? Anyways, another thing that came from the pieing challenge is Jen and Gall. Basically, during the challenge, I can't remember who it is. I think maybe it's Jaden who comes in. Jaden came in with Caleb. I haven't mentioned them at all. I'm so sorry to them. But Jaden, if I'm remembering correctly, comes in with Kaden. She was one of the Casa girls. Maybe it wasn't Jaden. Somebody pies Gall. It might not be Jaden because Jaden's kind of new. So how would she know Jen? So it doesn't matter. Somebody pies Gall on behalf of Jen and is like, my girl Jen really likes you and you're not giving her much attention. So this leads to a series of conversations between Jen and Gall. And then eventually Kenzie comes in, and I'll get to that. But Gall began to piss me off, okay? Because she's basically, they talk about it later, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just like not really the compliment. Or she's like, you don't really compliment me. Like, I just don't know how much you're feeling it. And again, it's just like, what's with the lack of like direct communication? Can't he just be like, hey, you're right. I kind of like, I don't really know if I feel it super much. He just isn't. It's so weird. It's so weird, all of it. And then the way he was moving in last night's episode really made me uncomfortable. I'm over Gall, and I'm glad he went home. Like, I'm so glad he went home. He was pissing me the fuck off. In the episode that was movie night, but before we got to movie night, there were a few important things that happened, okay? One thing that happened, I actually don't know if this was the episode before movie night or movie night, but something that's been going on since they got back from Casa is Zach is not being honest with Kata. Now, the whole time it was happening, I was like, I honestly don't know what they're allowed to say, because most of the time when people leave the show, it's like very quietly this person has left the villa, and then they never address it. So I'm like, I was trying to give Zach the benefit of the doubt for a little bit, where I'm like, maybe he's just not allowed to like say that somebody got removed. I don't understand why you couldn't be like, oh, she left early or something. Like, you don't have to be like she was removed, but like people leave television shows for specific reasons. Like, whatever. That really, he was not being honest with Kata. And like, one thing is a lie of omission. I still think that sucks and that's stupid. But then at some point he almost, I didn't write it down verbatim, but he said something like, I could have brought somebody back and I didn't. And it's like, that's simply not true. Who could you have brought back? None of the other Casa women were interested in you. Like, none of them were interested in you. And I believe they said on one of the After Sun episodes, the ones who got sent home were like, yeah, Zach was very flirty with like most of us. It's like, if they wanted to, they could have tried with you. The only person who had an interest in you was Alana, and she got sent home. So like, let's not lie here. Let's not, okay? that was really irritating to me. That was really irritating to me. I mean, like, I'm like, what do you mean you could have brought somebody back? So he's being dishonest, okay? That's an important thing to know going into movie night. Another important thing that happened before movie night, Sincere was teaching Melanie ASL. Now, having seen all of movie night, that didn't come to fruition, okay? But I do think it's important to know in the context of everything we saw in movie night, another thing that's all reused, Deja Vu by Olivia Rodrigo, plays here. Does she know that I taught you Billy Joel? This would have been worse. Imagine, this isn't what happened, but imagine Melanie taught Sincere ASL and then he's teaching. That would be so funny. The thing is, I do think he would do that. Like, that does seem like something he would do. It isn't what he did, for the record, but I just had that thought. Anyways, we also get it either reestablished or established for the first time. I didn't remember this at all. I could not have told you this literally at all, that Anaya and Sincere have a friendship. That didn't, if that was established, then it just genuinely didn't register. There's so many episodes that for me, it's hard to remember like little details like this or like pick up on everything. Like, thank God it airs in real time and everybody's like going through it at the same time. So like little things like this to me don't go unnoticed, or the fact that people picked up on, like, in this scene, Melanie's gone from the fire pit. So Melanie got dragged away. I forgot to mention that, but like at the recoupling, the Casa recoupling, when Kenzie, or not Kenzie, when at the Casa recoupling, when Trinity and TT kind of get into a little bit of a discussion, apparently Melanie and Kenzie were like absent. People figured that out. Like, thank God there's people like that who are like noticing little things like that, because I miss a lot of things, I have to be honest. And one of the things that I personally missed was that Sincere and Anaya were friends. I didn't remember that. But I think it was very important for them to show that in the same episode before we got movie night, because of some stuff we saw in movie night, which I'll get to in a second. But first, actually, no, let me just, who cares? I'm just going to jump to it now. So basically, during movie night, we see the clips of Casey being really mean towards Anaya. And Sincere's just there. He's just there. He's listening. He's not defending his friend Anaya at all. And Anaya is very hurt by this. And that's why I think it was very important for them to show us that Anaya and Sincere were friends, because I completely forgot that they were friends. And this wouldn't, it still would have had an impact on me, but it really had an impact after the scene earlier where Anaya is talking about how much she likes Sincere. And you know, the fuck of it all is now 2 episodes after that, she's like super team Sincere, even after Melanie's devastated. And I'm like, Sincere wasn't even team Anaya. Why are you team Sincere? Why are you team Sincere? And I'm not putting words in her mouth. She said, I am team Sincere. She said, I'm team Sincere. Team Sincere isn't real. There is no team Sincere. That's a smokescreen. That's a scam. He's a con man. Like, what do you mean I'm team Sincere? Anyways, another thing that happened before movie night is Kenzie. So Jen and Gall, you know, they're kind of over. Poor Jen. Poor Jen's been in a really, really unfortunate position because of everything, like due to the situations. Like I feel bad for Jen, because she brought Gall back from Casa and then he kind of switched up on her. Whatever. Kenzie kisses Gall and then she tells Dylan, and Dylan is really hurt by this. Okay. He's genuinely upset because he's like, I thought we had a good thing going. And that's important leading up to movie night. So during movie night, the first clip we see, apparently people speculate that it was edited out of order based off of Melanie's tears appear sooner than when they saw the Sincere clips. So some people think I don't know. Okay. I love all the detective work. I'm honing in on the product that I saw, the edited version. So we see Zach and Alana's clips first, right? Okay. Kate is upset by them. There's a really funny moment where like Alana's talking. This was a clip we'd seen where this was a clip we'd seen where Alana was talking about her cat, and he was like, "Oh, I have a cat. Her name is Lola." And Kate goes, "That's your family cat." Which, by the way, Charlie's brother, or Zach's brother Charlie, posted on his Instagram stories. I don't know. I saw it reposted on TikTok. I don't know where he posted this, but he posted a photo of the cat with the quotes, "Is your family cat." That was funny to me. Okay, good job, Charlie. Funny parasocial play. Good for you. And so she's upset. Then we see Casey and Anaya, and he is saying all these horrible things about Anaya. And And it's really bad. It's really bad. It's all the things we've already seen, but it's bad. It's bad. It's not good. It's upsetting. And he does, and then we see a clip of Anaya and Carl exploring, and all the women are like, "Aw," and the men after that are like, "There's a double standard." Like, any of our clips, if we're exploring, you get mad at us, but oh, Anaya and Carl, that's super cute. And the thing that irritates me is I'm like, there's a context to everything. Like, things are in the context, okay? The men are like, there's a double standard, and I just don't think there's a double standard when it's like the context is different. There's not a double standard because it's not like the exact same thing happened, and then the only difference is you're a man and she's a woman. That's not the difference. The difference is the context in which you live and all that came before you. But like, no, dead ass, like it's the context, because it's like Anaya exploring with Carl, one happened after they all saw the live stream. That's super important. Same with like anything any of the women did was after they saw the live stream. It also is the context of the way you came back. Like if you came back and you were like, I'm so, like, all of those things matter. Like, let's say, like, I don't think if they had shown clips of Trinity exploring things with Corey, that the women would have been like, oh, that's so sweet. No, because they know that Bryce was hurt by that. They know that Bryce expressed that he was hurt by that, and that Trinity apologized and they squashed the beef. And Trinity would probably be like, I'm really sorry that I hurt, like, Bryce. I wasn't trying to hurt him. I feel bad that I did that. Like, I don't think that if the context was different, the women would just react the same because they're like blindly like, you go girl, do whatever you want. It's not about the fact that, oh, Anaya can do something Casey can't. It's about the way you're doing it and the context in which you're doing it. It's like, and that's just provable by the way they reacted to Kenzie. And I understand that the clips were separated between days. The Kenzie clips happened on Thursday. So people on the double standard discussion was on Tuesday's episode, and we had Wednesday in between. But like, there is no double standard when the context is different. Like, the standard has changed because of the context. It's not because of like, that really irritates me. It's not like if it was a situation where somebody was exploring, I don't even know. It's like they're like, oh, Carl, because Anaya got humiliated by you coming back with TT, being super disrespectful to her. Then she saw you disrespecting her. And then, like, she literally had a breakdown after the recoupling and felt so bad and then wanted Carl back. And now Carl's back and they're watching happy moments with Carl, and her friends are happy for her because she was just so devastated before. It's like, what is this? What is this? But then during, oh my God, no, wait, sorry. Before I get to the sincere part, during, I think, Casey's clips, actually, it might have been Sincere's clips. It really doesn't matter. No, I think it was Casey's clips. I don't know. At some point, they're showing the guys recoupling in Casa, and Kata notices that Alana is not there. And this is the first time that it's made clear that Alana left. And Kata is understandably upset that she was not told this information. And the thing that bothers me is, like, she probably doesn't remember this clearly, but it's like, not only was she not told the information, she was lied to. She was told the exact opposite. She was told, actually, like, I could have brought somebody back and I didn't. I chose you. I could have, and I didn't. I could have chosen somebody else and I didn't. And that's not true. So, you know what I mean? Like, it really irritated me. And the thing that gets me too is, like, he also has this attitude of like, but I wouldn't have picked you anyway. It wasn't a factor. And it's like, that doesn't take away the fact that she has a feeling about it. It's like, how hard is it to be like, I really wouldn't have picked her anyway, and I wasn't trying to like be sneaky by not telling you. She genuinely just wasn't a factor to me. But I'm sorry that feels like I withheld something from you. I'm sorry that you would like question that. I should have told you. You're right. I should have told you. Genuinely, I didn't feel anything for her, and I wouldn't have wanted to keep exploring. And I'm really happy with what we have. And I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that you're upset. How hard is that to do? How hard is that to do? It's like these men just get on the defense and immediately become extremely invalidating by being on the defense. It's like, what's the point of being all defensive? What's the point of it? What is the point of being all defensive? You are hurting yourself and you are hurting the people around you. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. But then, and the rest I don't need notes for. The stuff that happened days ago, I'm like, I need to write down because I'll forget to mention some stuff. But the stuff that happened recently, I don't need any notes. So then Tuesday's episode ends with Sincere and Melanie's clips. There's more that happened later, but this Sincere movie night segment deserves awards. It was so good. It was so good because basically we see him, everything that we as the audience have already seen. Sincere being like saying one thing and doing the exact opposite, but all of these people are now watching it. They're watching him say the exact same things to Melanie that he's saying to Soul. They're seeing him say one thing to Melanie and then do the exact opposite with Soul. It's insane. It's like wild to see back to back. Because I remember having whiplash when Melanie goes to him and is like, do you want to keep exploring her? And instead of just saying, yes, I understand why that might be hurtful, but I'm not sure yet about our connection. Like, instead of, Sincere has such a hard time, from my perspective, of like saying the hard thing, like acknowledging, like he says the thing that on paper he should say and he should do. And the thing is, I already think it's dishonest to, like, if somebody asks you to do something or asks you a question, to say yes when you mean no, and then still follow through with the yes. Like, I think you should, to the best of your ability, be honest. If somebody asks you, like, say in this situation, she was like, do you want to keep exploring with Soul? And he said no, but he actually did. But then he didn't keep exploring with Soul. I still think that would, like, not be the best move. I think you should just be honest, because then that could grow into resentment. And you know, I think the best move would have been, hey, I want to keep exploring with Soul, and then you explore with Soul. But the worst case scenario, the worst thing you can do is say, no, I don't want to keep exploring with Soul, and then the same day go and kiss Soul. And even Corbin was like, that was the same day. Like, they were all shocked. Clearly not enough, because 2 episodes later, they're all Team Sincere. Pissed me the fuck off. Anyways, so that's where we left Tuesday's episode. Thursday's episode, we pick up with Melanie being upset. We see more clips. We see Kenzie. And again, Kenzie and the way the women call Kenzie out is a perfect example of the fact that it's not a double standard. It's just about the context, because Kenzie was being dishonest and being unclear and doing, you know, later Kata says it was giving Sincere, which is such a funny sentence, because it was giving Sincere before this season aired. In the context of anything else would be like, oh, that person seems sincere. But no, it's giving Sincere. Sincere now means that you're being insincere. They called Kenzie out too, because it's not about a double standard. It's about the context of the behavior. Whatever. Oh my God, I forgot to mention this. Before movie night, Kenzie kisses Gall, and then somebody else finds out. I can't remember who she tells, but then that person tells Jen. And so then when Jen and Kenzie have a conversation, Kenzie tells her, and she's like, yeah, I already know. And she's upset because she had to hear it from somebody else. And then she's like, if this wasn't Love Island, I wouldn't be your friend. I loved that. That was so fun to me. I'm like, you know what? That's fair. And I don't think that's like a horrible, mean thing to say. I think that's just like real. Like, a lot of you guys wouldn't be friends in the outside world. And I think there's something beautiful about that. It's like sometimes you meet people that you would never meet otherwise, and then it is a real connection, and it grows, and it's like, how would we met otherwise? But sometimes it's like, okay, you're friends for this moment, and in the outside world, you're like, okay, but we don't actually make sense. Like, whatever. It's also just like, that also just showcases like the fact that like Love Island in many ways isn't the real world. Because it's like, if we were in the real world, I wouldn't be your friend. It's like, yeah, but also in the real world, for the most part, even if you're casually dating, you're not casually dating in the, like, you're not dating people, even if, like, again, casually dating, hooking up with multiple people, and your friends are also doing that, for the most part, you're probably not doing it in the same way where it's like you're all in the same pool of people. You know, it's like if Kenzie and Jen were in the real world, and if Kenzie had all the people in the world to choose from, and then she's still like, it would be different. Again, the context would be different. Anyways, I forgot to mention that, but they call out Kenzie's behavior. It's about the situations at hand. After the movie night, she like has a breakdown. It's genuinely devastating. It's genuinely so devastating. Melanie sleeps in Soul Ties, or she goes to sleep in Soul Ties, and then the owl is there. So then she moves. And I loved the owl. The owl is I love the owl. Someone made an edit of the owl on TikTok, and I reposted it. I love that owl. But anyways, so she ends up sleeping in a different part of the villa. I don't remember where, but like not Soul Ties, just to avoid the owl. after movie night, but before they go to bed, the guys are literally talking about, like, they're in a group. And in this moment when they're in a group too, Anaya goes up and apologizes to Casey for like getting in his face, and she's like, I'm sorry, like I don't like, they kind of squashed their beef. It was really nice. I'm like, okay, good for you, Amaya. Or Anaya, sorry. And also Anaya and TT had previously squashed the beef. Anyways, sorry, I'm hopping all over the place. In this conversation that the boys are having, at some point they're like talking about if Melanie's going to sleep in the bed with Sincere, and somebody says, I don't know who it was because it was off base, but somebody's like, if she's sleeping in soul ties, you sleep in soul ties and offer her that. She slept outside of the room, which, like, whatever, whatever, but it really pissed me off. Like, Sincere is sick and twisted. Oh my god. Okay, sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm hopping all over the place. Maybe I should have had notes, but at the movie night, Thursday's episode, Melanie's like, I look so stupid. Like, you keep picking me. I look so stupid. Like, are you picking me because I'm stupid? And Sincere's like, you did the same thing to Corbin. And I was shocked. I was like, what the fuck does Corbin have to do with anything? I don't think Corbin gives a fuck. Like, I don't think Corbin cares. Why are you bringing Corbin into this? So it's like really upsetting to me because I'm like, that's just deflection. It's like somebody being like, hey, you hurt my feelings. And it's like, okay, well, you also hurt that guy over there's feelings when that guy over there isn't saying anything. It's like, what the fuck does what she allegedly did to Corbin have anything to do with what you did on camera just now? It was so angering the way that Sincere handled this. Okay. It really pissed me off. Then doesn't even let her, like, doesn't even give her the bed. She has to sleep outside of the bed. And I really, at this point, I think it's really unfortunate because I understand timing wise movie night has to happen at this moment, but I just feel like Melanie is in such a difficult spot because it's like, it's not like there are bombshells coming in and she has any way of being with anybody else. It's like, what is Melanie going to do at this point? Like, I guess she could leave. I don't know. It's just like she's really in a tough position. The timing and everything does also play a factor into why so many of the women are like, no, you should give him a chance. Like, stay, you should keep trying with him. I think it's misguided, and I don't think that if I was in the villa, I would be saying that to Melanie. I would be like, look, there's no reason to feel this like emotionally drained all the time by somebody. He should be filling your cup. He should be making you feel better. He should be bringing you joy. You should be adding to your life, not taking your energy away. Like, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. He doesn't respect you. I don't know, but it's like I do wonder if just the fact of there aren't bombshells coming in, we're winding down, if that does factor into the way that her friends are talking about it, because maybe they're thinking like, if Melanie doesn't stay with Sincere, she's going home. But it's like, at this point, it's like, going home would be better for Melanie. I'm sorry, going home would be better for Melanie. She's gotten enough screen time. There's no, like, what else is she gonna get? She's not gonna win at this point, and through no fault of her own, but it's like, people aren't going to want to vote for Sincere. So it's like, genuinely the best case scenario for Melanie would be going home. And it's like the whole 2 episodes, I was like, poor Melanie, like, poor Melanie. Yesterday's episode, Friday's episode, was the most upsetting to me to watch because the women are like really pushing for her to stay with Sincere, and I don't understand it. I really don't. It's really upsetting me. It's like, whatever. It's genuinely making me angry. It's genuinely making me angry. I don't know. I don't know. Gall also pissed me off this episode because it's a recoupling, so he knows he has all the power, because at this point he doesn't want to pair up with Jen anymore. And Jen's like, I've screwed myself over. Like, I don't even know. At some point, this was a really funny moment on Friday's episode. Kata, I don't know who else is there. Maybe Kenzie. Maybe not. Kata and Jen and somebody else are like there, and they're talking. Kata's like, hi, I haven't even gotten a date. And Jen goes, shut the fuck up, or something like that. She's like, please, Job. And then she's like, I hate men. This sucks. Like, Jen was really winning me over. Unfortunately, the situation, she got screwed over. There was a bit of tension between Jaden and Caleb that felt like a nothing burger to me. I'm so sorry. Like, I really didn't care at all about them. I'm not invested enough in Jaden and Kayla individually, let alone together. So I really didn't care about that interaction at all. I was like, okay, they stay together. They don't. It means absolutely nothing to me. I don't care about them. So that's how I felt about the Jaden and Caleb of it all. I'm so sorry. There's just too many couples and too many people. And I'm expending so much of my energy on Melanie and Sincere that I'm drained. I can't. I feel so bad for Melanie. Going to the recoupling, Bryce and Trinity have a really cute moment where he's like, I could pick anybody. And then they have fun banter. And he's like, you should be kissing my feet. She's like, yeah, I'm not going to. I literally, sorry, excuse the fact that Baby Yoda is now in the frame. I really love them. It brings me so much joy to see them together. Then at the recoupling, going into it, Gaul's like, basically, it's up to me. Like, what am I going to do? Gaul's acting like he's the swing vote. Okay, it's so annoying. It's like, this isn't Big Brother. You're not the swing vote determining who goes home. And I'm really glad that the elimination happened the way it did, because it was so like, haha, you're a loser. Like laughing in his face, because he's literally like, oh, all the power's in my hands. And then, sorry, Grogu, I'm gonna put you to the side. He's like laughing, not really, but like he's metaphorically like, haha, everything's in my hands. And then four more people end up going after the girl he didn't pick anyway. So it's like, oh, you barely had any power. So the coupling goes as you would expect. Trinity and Bryce, Zach and Kata, Melanie and Sincere, Caleb and Jaden, Anaya and Carl, Casey and TT, and Gaul picks Amora instead of Jen, and so Jen goes home. But the night's not over. 4 more villagers, they're not called villagers, islanders, will be going home. And so they play this game where, as a couple, they have to decide who they think the least compatible couples are, and each couple gives 2 other couples hearts, and the couples with the most hearts go home. So overall, every single person besides Amora and Gaul gave their votes to Amora and Gaul, which is fair because they literally like paired up by default. Gaul didn't like Jen anymore. It's not like he and Amora really hit it off. It was just like he didn't want to pair up with Jen, so he paired up with Amora. Like, let's be fucking for real. I don't even know if they've kissed. Like, there's nothing there. Anyways, so they got all their votes, and then Jaden and Caleb got a lot of votes. Melanie and Sincere got a few votes. Kenzie and Dylan got a few votes. I think the last vote, it came down between, it was like Jaden and Caleb had 3 votes. Kenzie and Dylan had 3 votes, and Melanie and Sincere had 2 votes. So it was like, you either, I don't remember who the last couple voting was, but it was like, if they gave it to Melanie and Sincere, then it would be a 3-way tie. But they gave it, I think, to Jaden and Caleb. So then it was Jaden and Caleb going home, and Gaul and Amora. Now, I genuinely, this is going to be very weird to say, because I'm not particularly a fan of Corden, and Parmita had kind of pissed me off as well, okay? But the way that they were like defending Melanie, they were the first person to give a vote to Melanie and Sincere. And I really loved the way that they were like, look, Parmita especially, Corbin was like, look, Sincere, I'm not over the stuff that we saw on movie night. Like, you're just kind of a liar. Like, I thank you, Corbin. Like, okay, thank you. And then Parmita's like, look, I know you guys like each other. I know he likes her, and I know you guys like each other, but that's not enough. And I don't think you guys are good together. Carl and Anaya, I think, gave a vote to Sincere and Melanie. Maybe not, but I know Carl and Anaya, when they were discussing it, Carl was like, I don't know if I can't remember if he said this publicly, but at some point he and Anaya were having a conversation, and he's like, Melanie was so like bubbly during Casa, and ever since we've gotten back, like immediately I saw her angry and distraught. Like, that's all I've seen of Melanie now that we're back, and it's because of Sincere. Like, I really appreciated people being like, Melanie and Sincere, snap out of it. But I think the OG couples are too loyal. Like, I really think a lot of the men are like very loyal to Sincere, and there's like if Sincere was newer, it wouldn't be as much of a question, but it's like they have like and they really, like, he's won them back over in a very weird way. Like, at some point they literally, Kata and Anaya literally started chanting Team Sincere. Why are you Team Sincere? being team sincere is like rooting for a sports team, and you spend all this money on tickets, and then you find out that they're not even in the league. Like, they're not even a real soccer team. You just got bamboozled. Like, I forgot to mention this too, because I'm all over the place, but like it was just genuinely crazy how reused and how much he repeated everything to Melanie. Like, there was literally back to back him calling Melanie beloved and then calling Soul beloved. It's like, it's just what he says. He doesn't mean it. Like, maybe he does like Melanie. Maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know how, if you're Melanie, you can ever trust that what he's saying to you is real. And I just don't think she deserves that. I think she needs to be with somebody where there's no I think she needs to be with somebody where there's no question that they're being honest, that they feel that way about her. It's just sick and twisted. Why are they rooting for Melanie's downfall? Like, I really, at this point, and I don't want her to leave. I don't want her to leave. I said this early on. If Melanie went home, I'd be sad, and I would be sad. But I'm at this point with Melanie where I want her to leave because I want her away from Sincere. Okay, they're not getting rid of Sincere at this point. It's not like we as America can vote for Sincere to leave. At this point, I want Melanie to go home. I want Melanie to go home and be away from Sincere. Okay, please, Melanie, get away from Sincere. And you know what? I really did appreciate the fact that when Ariana asked Melanie how she felt about Parmita, like saying that Sincere wasn't being super nice, like that she deserved better than Sincere, she was like, I really appreciate that. I think that's what a friend would say to me. Again, there's like an understanding. But Melanie keeps saying, I don't think he's a bad person. He's just not treating me well. And it's like, I don't know, good person, bad person. It's like, whatever, moralistic judgments. I don't know this man, but something is deeply, deeply wrong with him, and he's causing a lot of harm. Okay. If I'm not going to psychoanalyze him and say that like there's something malignant with him, I don't know. Okay. But the data, the actions, he's causing harm, and he needs to stop. He needs to stop, and he needs to genuinely look within himself and figure out why he can't tell the truth, why his gut instinct is just to say what he thinks he should say, instead of like figuring out what he wants and being honest about it and communicating it in a like, something's wrong with him. He needs to go to therapy, because this is not okay. This is not okay. And I don't know how anybody could date him after watching him on the show and not be concerned. I don't know. I really hope people in Sincere's life maybe are seeing a different side of him, and when he gets off the show, they're like, hey, for your well-being, I think you need to speak to a clinician. Because if I had somebody in my life who, like, I didn't think that they were a liar like that, because I was only receiving, like, and then I saw them on TV like just saying the same thing to multiple people in this way, I would genuinely, when they got off the show, be like, look, I love you. I think deep down you're a good person, but I think you need to address whatever it is about you. And maybe it is only in the situation of Love Island. I don't know. But I would be like, you really need to address why you behave this way and like maybe fix it. But that's all I have to say about Love Island up until now. I really hope my audio worked, because I was having some audio issues last time I recorded. But if my audio didn't work, then you're not hearing this anyway, because I'm scrapping the episode. So it really doesn't matter. But thank you so much for tuning in. I'll have an episode. I think my next episode about Love Island will be wrapping up the whole season. I don't know how many episodes there are left, but I think by the time I record a Love Island episode next, the season will be over. That's my plan. Maybe I'll record one more and then a finale recap. I don't really know. I'll figure it out. I'm playing it by ear. My schedule's all up in the air now that I'm unemployed. And I'm going to try to get a Real Housewives of Rhode Island season 1 podcast recap review out sometime mid next week. That's my goal, to get that out next, and then a Love Island episode after that. But I don't really know. I'm figuring it out. If you have any shows you would like me to cover, please let me know. I have all the time in the world now to watch television and take notes and yap about it. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Please like the podcast, share it with a friend. Follow me if you aren't already. It really does mean a lot, and I really need the streams because I am unemployed. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week.